Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Carlton Live. We are back. We're like Carlton. We're in 1 week and we're out the next, and we're underperforming. Good evening to you, my friend John. How are you this evening?
Yeah, good, mate. Exactly right. We're up and down like a yo-yo, aren't we?
Yeah,
At Carlton Live, but look, it's been a lot on. We're sorry, but we're back.
There's been a few injuries. There's been a few substitutes. There's been a few, what can I say, misselections. There's a bit of a selection integrity going on here.
And this is just Carlton Live.
We set the tone for everything, Carlton. Andrew Walsh, good evening to you. Douglas Aaron Russell, good evening to you, my friend. Thank you for tuning in to Carlton Live. It's chilly down here in Melbourne, and probably you're just sunning it up there, mate. What's the temperature up in Noosa?
Oh, we're hitting 25s this week, so I got the short sleeves on.
Yes. Our Sydney audience should be nice and high this evening. They're getting a bit of a taste of it, unfortunately. If you're from Sydney, we are thinking of you guys up there and what you're going through, and just stay up there if you wouldn't mind. We've had enough of
it. Yeah, look, we've all been through it in Melbourne, but when they're at the stage where the government is saying where this is not in control, you're in deep shit.
Well, if they stop the season right now and just scrap the whole year, I wouldn't be too worried. Just we've written it off anyway. We've wasted our season, so let's just put a line through it. We'll get through Charlie's game next week and put a line through the season.
Yeah, look, that's my first grouch for the day. Is people are still upset at where we are, but that was decided after the Port game and after the Brisbane game. We're 3-4 goals worse off than the best teams. Got shown again on the weekend. I don't see how this is a surprise anymore, Trevor.
Oh, it's definitely not a surprise. It's just me reflecting on what the state of affairs is right this second, and where me and I'm sure a lot of others anticipated where we would be right now, and that is, sitting at the 8th, 7th mark, having an opportunity to go into a finals campaign. So that's just my reflection, not a disillusioned fact of understanding of where we are and what's going on in the joint.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. It wasn't a crack at you because you've got your head screwed on right. But the comments that I'm seeing through, even the personal messages that I'm getting about the discontent at the Geelong game, it's like, really? That wasn't what you expected?
Oh, yeah. Even though people expect it, you come into each week with a sense of anticipation and hope, and I get it from everyone. The Geelong game was just another example of the shit we've been going through, and we'll talk about that soon. So I do get it. I really do get it, and maybe we'll get some answers very soon from this review. Andrew Lake, good evening to you.
Our review tonight. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, we'll have a review. We'll have an internal review of our own performances. Adrian Hines, good evening to you, straight from Bugs Brewery. Thank you for tuning in. Get back to work. No, don't worry about getting back to work. Just you do your thing down there, mate. We love you down there at Bugs. We love a good Bugs. In fact, we'd love you to send us a case, and I'll drink a case live on air if you send me one. I reckon I can talk for an hour and a half, which will take me enough time to get through a slab of Bugs. Brett Class said, good evening to you, Brett. So much to fix, guys. Is that our show or the club? That's probably a bit of both. Brett Parker, good evening. Brendan Whitford, thank you for tuning in. We love you on the show. Alan Glass, g'day, Alan. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you tuning in. Deb O'Connor says about bloody time. We just build up the sense of anticipation, so that's where we are right now.
Oh yeah, look, is she talking about us or talking about Carlton or
yeah, well, about
or
time.
Charlie
or
what?
I think it's about us. Deb loves us. She watches every week, so it's probably about us.
Oh yeah, Deb, but I'm going to get a little bit philosophical on you now because no one wants to see the same shit every week, and there's so many shows out there that are bashing on about topics about Carlton that we kind of get a little bit sick of it. So we just come on when we got something to say,
Well, we don't have to do a Carlton show. We could just come on and talk crap about many other topics that we're interested in and knowledgeable about. That's probably not a lot, but it works.
That's 5 minutes.
People used to tune in just to see me get drunk. Do you remember that time I drank half a bottle of gin that night? That was probably our best show ever.
I remember it. Do you?
Yeah. No, I did rewatch it at the end. I actually didn't mind it. What's everyone saying tonight? It's interesting. Sean O'Brien, is it time for Ross Lyon? That's an interesting topic. Just straight off the bat, the coaching topic. Will you answer that? Is it time for Ross Lyon?
Nope, and never will be.
Okay.
And how many premierships has he won?
Nearly one.
Yeah. We're not after nearly ones. We're after ones.
So is that you pointing in the direction of a tried and true coach, or are you sticking with Teague, or are you waiting for the review?
I'm sticking with Teague, and I'll say that in a minute. One of my thoughts on it, beautiful point brought up by Andrew Lake. We'll get to that in a minute, but he just needs a mentor. You
mean the non-existent one that we've already got that's still in West Australia?
Yeah, a real mentor.
All right. Okay. What he needs is to. I've already said this a few weeks ago. What he needs to do is come and get out of the box and watch the game in my lounge room. He will see everything that he needs to hear about what's going on with the state of the game. He'll probably get thrown. He'll probably get the remote thrown at him a couple of times. He might as well have a few beers with me at the same time. That's all he needs. That's the answer to all his problems.
Yeah, it's Katandra boy, up near Shepparton, so he wouldn't mind a couple of beers, I reckon.
Look, at the end of the day, let's be straight, and I was going to say this straight off the bat. The selection of Setterfield to come into the game was just a I suppose the biggest highlighting factor of what I think is one of the biggest issues going on at the club and the potential discontent of where selection comes from. How long since Setterfield has played with a hand issue, and they bring him straight out of the box, straight into Geelong for some unknown reason when we've got a fit Cottrell sitting on the pine as the sub. No centre half forward to speak of because Levi's gone. Josh Honey waiting in the wings to try and have a crack. Carroll and Ramsey have been performing okay. And, out of nowhere, they pluck Setterfield, who was dropped for lack of form in the first place and now come back in. The selection of Martin, who continues to get selected, who's clearly still underdone. That's the clear issues for me that's going on, and it's the selection table, and there's discontent, and we've talked about it for a while. But this Setterfield out of the box selection was like, what the freaking hell?
Yeah, it was an interesting one, and then we played him on a wing when we were clearly needing a tall up front. I reckon that would have been a nice spot to put him. And, just work yourself into the game. He's not a wingman. You either put him in the guts, and if he's not right, you rotate him through the guts and up forward. This whole thing about him being a wingman has got to go because that's killing his career as much as we have done with SPS, playing him down back.
Well, we had Dow coming into the game with some good performances in the midfield. We had Bam Bam come into the game with 3 great games in a row. We've got SPS playing through the mid. We've got Walsh obviously through the mid. We've got Kennedy, Curnow as an option in the mid. How many more mids do we need? I just don't. I don't get that selection. Jones was out. That was a big hole in our defence, even though our defence, and Andrew said it earlier, has been stacked up immeasurably. We fixed our goal, our defence. We've tightened up our team defence immeasurably. And then we go into this selection with that when it was a perfect opportunity to give another guy like Honey a crack in this game. They're worried about losing. Jeepers creepers. We have to pick an experienced player like Setterfield. That's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. These players. What's going to be the point of the rest of the year if you're not going to give these other players a crack? Are we aiming for finals? Bullshit. You've got to play these players now and stop performing underperforming players. Teague said a few weeks ago, no one's guaranteed a spot in this side. I haven't heard a bigger load of bullshit since I don't know when.
Oh yeah, spot on. Yeah, it's Carlton Selection Committee is. I've said it before, and I've said it. I'll say it again. It's Animal Farm all over again. All players are equal, but some are more equal than others.
Yeah, you're right. The performance against Geelong. If you looked at the stats and not the scoreboard, you'd think we'd won. You'd think we won the game by 4 or 5 goals. Tackles, we won. Inside 50, used ball usage was way up. Disposal efficiency, I suppose, into 50. All of the stats that relative to tackles we were higher. The clearances were higher. We talk about the goal kicking for sure, but goal kicking I look at, okay, well, if you kick 1 goal or kick 1 point, that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to kick the next 2 or 3 goals. Each goal's got to be looked at on its merits. Even though early I understand the importance of scoreboard pressure. You kick those goals, the mindset changes, you're up and about. Geelong changes potentially the difference. So those early ones I think are definitely important, but throughout the game, it was just ridiculous, that game. I just was so disappointed when we've been playing relatively good footy, but that just shows we're downhill skiers. Geelong are the worst team in the comp in terms of the way they play the game and chip them around. We had the perfect opportunity to play our game, and that is run it through the middle. We tried it a little bit, run it through the middle and get it down there. I don't know.
I made the comment too to Simone on the Western Bar that they played absolutely stupid in terms of they should have gone fast and hard to the one-on-one with Jones out that we couldn't cover, which was Radaglia and my man Plowman. Yep. He was like David and Goliath, and still they stuffed around with it, which was to our advantage. Absolutely. Yep. Wiedering had a field day. Jones would have had a field day as well if he was there. But I can't believe how stupid they were. They should have won by 10, 12 goals.
They finally started waking up and had those purple patches where they kicked a few goals in a row.
Yeah.
And we had our purple patches as we do in games as well, where we move it okay, and then we just die back in the arse again, and go missing as we do.
Yeah, look, I was interested at the press conference after the game, and this is one of the points that I sent you on Sunday maybe, about how everyone's down on Teague, and he doesn't show much emotion and all that sort of stuff. He goes about it a different way and looks for improvements. And one of the ones was, and keep in mind he was a great forwards coach at Adelaide, that his comment after the game was that the players didn't have a set routine to be able to get past that pressure of, we haven't kicked a goal yet. His point was, we've got to get to the psychology of this. Every player has to have their set routine to be able to deal with these pressures. And with Matty Lloyd, as much as you hate him, used to throw the grass up in the air. Didn't matter if he was under the roof. Didn't matter if he was playing on plastic. He still did the same routine, and he had a great goal sense. And that's what we need to do. And he had a great swipe at our players, now forwards coach, in that, I thought. And that's his way of going about things. He would have got behind the scenes and also reiterated that.
I don't know if anyone caught the Sunday Footy show. Zach Toohey they talked about his goal kicking and being Irish and his kicking in general. You know what he said? I've got to credit my kicking and my goal kicking to David Teague, who was the development coach at Carlton. I nearly fell off my chair. And I thought, well, Teague, what's going on? He used to say Teague used to spend hours with him after training, just going through his shots and routines. Maybe Teague's forgot those old days when he's in the big chair, but or maybe there's other issues at play. We hear about sports scientists and you can't go and kick goals and things like that. Harry Mackay, I just missing drop punts from 20 metres out. He might be leading the Coleman, but he should be leading the Coleman by 20 more goals if he could kick proper straight.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that, to be honest. I agree with
Coach. Go for a beer since you don't.
After 40 metres, you need to be going a drop punt, because Jason Dunstall, who's one of the best of all time, love him or hate him, says it's so hard to kick a banana or a check side or whatever you want to call it, or around the body past 40 metres, because you can't get the distance, you can't get the height, and you can't get the spin on it, and you end up kicking the middle of the ball. So past 40 metres, yes, I agree. It needs to be a drop punt. But inside 40 metres, if H has got his routine and he's comfortable and he's confident in that and he's kicking goals, then I'm happy with that.
I'm not.
Yeah, it's fair enough too. But if he's got that routine that he's happy with, then good.
The other thing, and a few people are saying it too, the players we have, they just don't seem to be playing with that intent that they need to be playing to win games. I suppose a few people might have seen the North Melbourne game yesterday, group of young kids playing with intent, playing with eyes for the ball, tackling hard, playing with that set structure. We play North Melbourne in 2 weeks and they play like they did yesterday. We'll get wiped off the floor because they'll play with that intent. We've got two, three or four players that play with the intent that they need to play to win AFL games regularly. Jones, Wiedering, Cripps, Walsh. They're the players that play with the regular intent that we have. Did I say Cripps? That we have to win AFL footy games week in, week out. They're the blokes that that are going to play with the intent that you need to play footy. Skill, yep, that's fantastic. But the intent is what we are lacking severely, and potentially the lack of intent is to do with selection integrity.
Yeah, look, it's also that in recruiting, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that we recruited a lot of downhill skiers. They're fantastic when everything's going right, but when things aren't going right, are they Cade Simpson? Well, they're not. I love this from Debbie O'Connor. We're just talking about set routines, how he has a set routine. He's brilliant. And you can set a watch to that. That is absolutely timeless. The way he kicks a football. But going back to your point, I think recruiting is, it's been well wrong. I'm loving the fact that Dow has got his mojo on and he's got his confidence on. His kicking has become, I'm not going to say elite. It's become really, really good compared to what we saw. And that's the upside of what we're seeing. And he's going to be one of those players that you mentioned. It's going to give everything week in, week out. And I'm really excited by that. But yeah, your point is very valid. I think we do. H, I'd say we'd give everything every week. But yeah, there's a lot of downhill skiers there, and we recruited 2 of them.
We have got the best forward in the comp by numbers right now. We've got an All-Australian fullback in Wiedering. No questions asked. We've got an All-Australian midfielder right now, arguably one of the top 5 players in the competition in Walsh. And Cripps
possibly Brownlow medalist. Hope you got on him at $85 to 1.
He's a chance for the Brownlow. He is a definite chance. He'll top 5 it. We've got another one in the top 5 of the competition in Cripps. So those players, that structure and those players should see us be a lot higher than where we are right now. Injuries aside, all those other things aside, we should be a lot higher than we are. We've got a few comfortable players in there each week, and they're comfortable because they're getting selected. I can't believe blokes, after the game they're talking about dropping blokes like Williamson. Stop looking at the stats, people, and watch the goddamn game, and watch the work that he does off the ball. Watch the fact that he takes on the game, and watch the fact that he's actually doing a role on his player. People used to call for the head of Plowman because he used to get 5 kicks, but not see the game that he actually locked down the best defender. He might have a couple of clangers. Watch the game, people. Just don't look at the stats at the end of the end of the game. Watch blokes who have a goddamn crack. Stocker's now having a crack. I'm loving Stocker. He's in there performing.
Yeah,
he's
huge.
He'll get his opportunity in the midfield. 100%. JSOS, loving what he's doing right now. Again, Levi shouldn't have been playing those few weeks. He's come out this week and now he's got a PCL injury. He's had that PCL injury since round 6, and they've been playing him. And then all of a sudden now he's going to be out? Give me a break. There's some blokes that need a spell, and it's not the blokes that are having a crack.
Yeah, what I'm loving about, and we missed out Stocker and Sauce about those players that give something every week. Those two are just grab the Guernsey type of, and loving every minute of playing just for the Guernsey. Stocker is just, I reckon we're seeing tip of the iceberg. And it's a bloody great iceberg, to be honest.
I'm not minding that he's down there causing some anger and some issues down there. He'll get his crack in the midfield. Murph's on next year. Ed Curnow is probably may not get another contract. It'll build up nicely for a pre-season under Luke Power to slot nicely into our midfield next year alongside Walshy.
Stocker had to address his issues, and his defensive game was one of his issues, apart from his ability to run. So he's getting that apprenticeship in the seniors rather than in the twos. So I think we're doing the right thing by him. And, he'll like you say, he'll get his opportunity. It now goes to the question of Ed, who you've just mentioned, will he get another contract? Time after time after time, on Saturday, that it was just this inability for him to finish with his kicking, and we cannot have that if we're going to go for a premiership. He's a very, very smart footballer in terms he gets to the right position, so he's the man that we're going to get that last kick in, but he just doesn't have the ability to deliver the ball as we need it.
Mm-hmm. Good. He's in a good category. Good player category. He's a good player. There's no doubt about it. And he's played his ass off for Carlton. But unfortunately, we can't have a bunch of good players. We need a bunch of great players.
So would you put Murphy and him as good now?
Oh, you would. Murph's going to struggle. I don't think he's going to get to that 300. It's just unfortunately not going to happen. It's just really, really sad. Maybe injury has give the club a blessing not to play him. But it's sad, and I can't see him getting another contract next year. And of course,
But that's life, It's he would much rather have played in a premiership than to get 300 games, and neither have happened to him. So that's life. It's a shit sport.
Yep.
It's a brutal sport where you get absolute buds who come in for their first game and get a premiership. That haven't been seen since. It's a brutal game.
Brendan Scott says, a lot of downhill skiers, nice footballers, and our tall options haven't worked in the last couple of years. We're currently left with no young tall forwards or backs.
Sorry, I'm way off because I'm getting too much into this conversation, but nice footballers. That's probably the best description that I've heard.
Yeah, they're not. They're too nice. They're too good. They're too busy. They look good on Instagram, but they don't look good necessarily on the footy field having a red hot crack like you saw a lot of those young North Melbourne players having a crack yesterday. Could you count our footballers to win a game down deep in the trenches in a hard slog? Some of our players to get deep, get down and dirty. There's a lot of them you couldn't. There's a lot of them you couldn't count on.
Yeah, and that's why the Geelong game was so good, because it actually exposed that. The past 2 weeks where we got, this run on and, we've got this wonderful, ability for players to downhill ski. Geelong really showed us up, and I thought they would. Absolutely. I was extremely impressed with Dow. I was extremely impressed with Stocker. They didn't have the greatest games, but geez, they stood up to it, didn't they?
Yeah, Dowie's getting in there. I'd love to see him put a bit of muscle on over the season. I'd love to him to move in with Sam Walsh. I'd love to him to get a pair of handcuffs, and actually just handcuff himself to Sam Walsh. And when Sam Walsh does this, Paddy Dow does this. When Sam Walsh does this, Paddy Dow does this.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, love that. Yeah,
when Sam Walsh goes for a 30K run in the morning just for fun, Paddy Dow follows him and does it.
Just before the game.
If Paddy Dow has a peanut butter sandwich, if Sam Walsh has a peanut butter sandwich, Paddy Dow bites the other half of it. Because God, that guy, Sam Walsh, unbelievable. I don't know. You know what I picked out on the weekend of Sam Walsh? Besides the fact he said, "Screw you, everyone, I'm just going to do it myself because I'm not going to pass it to anyone, because you're all shit." He said it with his eyes. You see these blokes, they kick a goal, they might do a handstand, or they run around doing the 2-finger salute. You know what Walsh did? He just shut his mouth. He got back to his job and just got back to his business. Whatever we were goals down, and he just went back to his business. There's a time for woohoo, I got a goal, and that's might be when you're 6 or 7 goals up. But he just kicked the goal, did his job, went back to the guts, and did his job again.
Yeah, I really don't care about all that showy stuff. It's going back and doing your job, definitely. But if you need to express that, I think what we don't do either is celebrate the goals. Every goal should be like the first goal of a grand final. Is you just get around and you just go again.
Yeah.
We don't do that or whatever. Stocker kicked his first goal in AFL. No one gave a fuck.
Yeah.
That
I'm
sort of shit.
You see a lot of players when they're down, when they're 4 or 5 goals down, they'll kick a goal and they'll carry on like they've just won Taps Lotto.
Yeah.
But when we were down and Walsh was kicking a goal, it's just back to do the job. Celebrate when you're up. Don't and I've seen players do that when they're 5 or 6 goals down, carry on like tools. Who should Brennan says? Who should we handcuff McGovern to? I don't know. A light pole in Flinders Street. I don't know. Debbie,
I'm going to go. Can I address this with Russell Dobson?
You can.
if I may. What is Fraser Brown doing? Open the wallet and get him in. Whew, this opens up a can of worms for me, because you look at all of our coaches, who has won a premiership?
David Craig.
You look at all of our premiership players. How much do they have to do with the club? Anthony Koutafidis, he can't get it. He can't get an invite. Fraser Brown, probably the same, can't get an invite. Greg Williams was down there for a little bit and got arseholed in the first lot of cuts. Do you want people in this club? And Peter Bozasto will tell you straight away. You need people down at the club who've won premierships, understand what the jumper's all about, and understand what it takes and the sacrifices that you need to actually get to the top. Not to be good, and that was your word before, Trevor. Not to be good, but to be great.
Yeah.
There's a big difference.
Yep.
So what is Fraser Brown doing? If the club doesn't have that in their fold, and to pay him whatever he needs to come in and to teach tackling and to teach that mongrel, then we're on the wrong tram.
Fraser Board doesn't belong out there teaching tackling. Fraser Brown is a bloke that should be somewhere on the board to be making calls, with a person that's got his heart and soul and club on his sleeve. And I think he's had a little crack or a little bit of interest at the board, but it's pretty hard to get on it's easier to get on the Collingwood board than to get on the Carlton board these days. So that's where he needs to be, and then start making some hard decisions when it comes to what's going on. That's why we'll see what this review comes out saying about what influence the board has got on game. But yeah, he's one I'd love to definitely have come back to the club. We've got a comfortable culture at the moment with Carlton, where there's people that are doing a good job but not a great job, and not going hard enough, and it's just setting that tone throughout the whole place, I think. And the culture of comfortability. It's not the culture of Carlton. It's premierships and winning at all cost, and picking players who will play their ass off at all costs, rather than because we're picking you because we're ashamed that we've picked you up and paying you $700,000, so we've got to cover our own asses by picking you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I'd love to make that statement. I'd love to put Williams and Saad to the twos. That would be the greatest thing ever.
Why do you want to put Saad to the twos? I think he's been one of our best.
He's not defending.
I'm not with you with there. I'm really off that one. I don't know where that one's coming from. I think he's been one of our best defenders this year. I think he's doing a really good job. He's not, and he's. Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from. That one.
Yeah, I'm still not a fan. I still don't think that he runs hard enough back. Still not a fan.
Okay, I think you'll be in the minority on that one, but
that's fair enough. And I was in the minority in getting him to start with, because I thought our dollars could have been spent better. So I'm probably a little bit jaded, and I probably have the dark coloured glasses on rather than the rose. So maybe I am in the wrong camp there.
Well, I wanting to do that. I wanting to do that role. I wanting to get off and run off and create options. That was supposed to be our game plan. It was defending quickly off half back and having that attacking half back line. That's what we got him for. And if we've got those other lockdown guys, which was supposed to be Doherty and Plowman and Newman, and we've got Sardi in there to do what he does. I'm off all the way he's playing. And if he's not a lockdown, that's fine.
Doherty's never been a lockdown.
No, yeah. Doc's good as
Williams not a lockdown. Saad's not a lockdown. You've got three players who are exactly the same. Newman, I love. I thought Newman had a great game.
He has a crack too. I should have put Newing in there. He puts his body out there. He has a real good crack. Okay, Eddie Betts. We talked about a couple of contract contracts that potentially won't be renewed this year or next year in terms of Murph and Ed Curnow. Eddie's last few weeks have been a bit of a struggle, and after he's played a couple of okay ones against the lesser teams, albeit. And I think also Eddie's a bit of a victim on the way we're playing and also moving the ball as well, so it's a bit hard. But is Eddie going around again for you? And what does everyone else think about Eddie?
Well, Eddie hasn't changed. Even at his heyday at Carlton, it was reliant. His gameplay was reliant on fast football. It wasn't, and as soon as Mick Malthouse introduced that style of football, that slow head to the boundary line and the defence gets back, Eddie's game's shot. And if that still happens with us now, then, yeah, his game is shot. I'd like to see him now go out on top, I think, rather than for him to go to oblivion. I'd love to see him go out on top now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I'm with you. It's a shame. If we had potentially made finals this year and looked at like we were going to continue that growth into next year, then I would be potentially okay with Eddie floating around. But I think, unfortunately, there's got to be that. It's the experiment's been good. He's come in and he's done a lot for the footy club. He's invigorated a lot of the supporter group. But I don't think Eddie, goes around again. Owies has done exceptionally well. Fish is going to come into that small forward role. Maybe SPS is now. They've realised that he's a potential good half forward, small forward, swapping in the midfield kind of player. So.
Jack Martin,
Carroll.
So rather than one person, you just spread it around that role.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see him go on. He had some wonderful moments in those games. Talking about, but I'd like to see him go out on top rather than go a few extra games and all of a sudden, it's a detriment to him.
Yeah, and speaking of that, maybe we bring in Murph for the last round as a farewell game. He's not going to get his 300th. Let's and maybe Eddie might make the call before the end of the year. It'd be nice maybe to see Eddie and even maybe Ed Curnow, Ed Curnow and Murph maybe play that last game as their last game and let's have a send off for them maybe.
Would we miss anything if those three were out?
No. We're losing games right now, and that's what I want to talk to you about now. And I want to have I want to have a chat to you about what we do for the rest of the year. I don't know how many games are left. 6, maybe 7. How many games are left? I can't remember. Actually, there's less than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 games left. What's your strategy for the rest of the year? And I'll open that up to our fantastic, awesome audience right now as well. What do we do for the rest of the year? Is it give these guys a crack? Ramsey, Carroll, Kemp. Obviously, we've got Charlie back in. Potentially, does he go back in after one run around in the twos? What do we do for the rest of the year?
Well, I think with Charlie, it will be 2 quarters, then 4 quarters, then in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. I would
quickly. People had a crack at me. He was going to play last week. I called him to play last week. He was going to play last week. The game got canned, and we had a scratchy. But now he's on this week. But he was going to play last week.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Absolutely flying, by the way, from all reports. Definitely play Honey. He's ready, and he needs to show out what's going. What I want to see, and I've mentioned this a lot of times, Trev, to you and to a lot of other people outside, is what I want to see is getting together the future of the midfield and getting them to play games together. Okay, the future of your midfield is, well, Cripps is going to be there, but he's going to be the Nat 5 type of thing. He'll go forward, he'll come in when he needs to, type of thing. You need to get your engine room going and how these kids are going to play together for the next 10, 12, whatever amount of years. Kennedy has been a nice stopgap for the latter part of this season, but what I want to see is, all right, who is your next midfield? Obviously Walsh, and then you sort of say, okay, who do we put in with him? How is that going to relate? Is it going to be Ramsey? Is it going to be Stocker? Is it going to be the big bastard who's they're now putting in half back? He needs to go into midfield VFL stat, right now, because he's your next Cripper.
Yep.
And you get these kids together now and you give them some time together.
Yep.
Doesn't have to be all at once.
Yep.
You sort of bleed them in. You play them off a forward flank, bleed them in, and then all of a sudden you've got a decade of a centre field.
Yep.
That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy you've said that, because I 100% agree. It seems like everyone's on that as well. Let's bring them all in. Ramsey needs to get a. We need to have a look at him before the end of the year. There's a perfect opportunity now to put Honey in the team. If Honey's not in this week and Martin out, which it won't happen, but that should happen. Should happen. Honey kicked 3 goals in the scratchy on the weekend. Martin got 3 kicks on the weekend. So let's have a crack at let's see these guys. Let's see Carroll. Let's hopefully put one game into Kent. One game. This whole idea of selection integrity and we need to play blokes who's showing whatever. It's just the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard in my life. If you're already
rubbish.
You can play twos. If you can play twos, you can play. These kids have been training all their lives to walk into senior footy. If you can play twos, you can play seniors. There's plenty of twos players that will tell you that potentially they play better in the seniors. And I know basically the intent it can be different, but a lot of these players play better in the seniors. But selection integrity, everything's out the window. Now the focus is on 6 games. Get some games into players. It's going to be at the expense of the blokes like Fogarty and Williamson, probably, unfortunately. Who else? They're not going to drop Curnow, I wouldn't have thought, unfortunately.
Yeah, he needs to go.
Kennedy, I don't know. SPS, I don't know. But just put a few of these blokes into the side and say, look, to these players, we're going to play these blokes. So some of you blokes are going to be dropped. You might not deserve to be dropped, but we want to try and expose some of these guys to some senior footy.
Yeah, fair enough. We're not making finals. We've just got to go development now.
Yep. Cunningham back next year.
Nunes is another one. Nunes is just wasting a spot.
Yep, he is. Might have had a good game on the weekend, but he's holding up traffic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Holding up traffic.
I think the Geelong game was basically our last attempt, if you like, to get to finals. And after that, it was, if we had won that, there would have been a bit of momentum. And now I think you'll see a little bit more liberal selection.
And, if Teague is coaching differently and making selection differently based on this review, then or wanting to win games, I just don't understand that either. I just really don't understand. If they don't pick these kids for the remainder of 6 games, what is the question why? There's got to be that's going to be if I was at a press conference, which I might show up to one day just randomly if anyone can get me a press pass, and ask those kind of questions at a Teague press conference. Why are you playing these games? Oh, they've got to learn their craft. We've got to develop them. Or
that's all you'll get.
Fucking, I'll give it back to him. I'll give it back to him with a Roger Federer backhand.
Yeah. Look, I think Honey is. I've said it for a long time, and this was based on Andrew Lake and Mark McKenzie, who are great supporters of us, and great part of the team.
And know much more about footy than us too.
Hey?
Know much more about footy than us too.
Yeah, they do. And they picked him immediately, and I started looking at him and saying, yeah, this kid could be our potential Degui or, or that Stringer, that type of player. That sort of, pizzazz.
What do you think some of these young kids, when they get into the team, are going to do? They're actually going to fight their ass off for every possession, every kick. They're going to fail. They're not going to be set the world on fire. They're not going to do an Andrew Walker debut. They're going to come in there, but they're going to have a crack. Every possession, every tackle they get, they're going to have a crack. They're going to invigorate the team, and they're going to try and show a bit because they want to try and keep their spot in this side.
Andrew Lake has just wrapped it up there. Yep. That's game over. It is. We can talk all our lives. That just proves it.
And they haven't even got any. They've only got a couple of injuries, as far as I can remember as well. But they do that, and the Geelongs, they expose their blokes to footy. We've got Curnow coming back. Our midfield next year of Curnow, Walsh, Ramsey, Carroll, Kemp, Stocker. You're right. These guys have got to be working at it. These guys have got to be really, really working at it. Mitch McGovern, he's got to come back as a backman. We're screwed if we lose Casbolt. Sorry, if we lose Levi or Wiedering. So Mitch McGovern's got to be turned back into a backman and made to work a bit harder.
We've got no choice other than to get rid of him to pay Walt.
He'll take a pay cut. He can take a pay cut. That's another thing he can do, which he'll probably do.
No, he won't go to another club, but
stick him down back. Stick him down back. That's where he belongs.
Yeah,
make him work hard for his money.
Yeah, fair enough. It won't happen, so he's got to go.
We will see. We will see about that. I like the fact that when I saw Jones out, I thought, geez, and I was only talking about it just with the boys from Blue Horizons about if we lose one of Jones or Wiedering, in terms of long term, we're screwed. We've got no one down there. Those two blokes are holding up our defence. Oscar Allen's coming back. Where's he played? Don't know. Was he the future of the club? So I think we're left with no choice. Hopefully Charlie stays fit. Charlie Harry sharp forward, and Jack Silvani and Jack Martin, if he can ever pull his finger out up forward. It only leaves a spot up back for McGovern. Levi will be gone next year. He won't get another contract. I wouldn't have thought. The fact that they brought him in again for the game against who we played before Geelong. I can't remember. Freo. The fact that we brought him in for Freo when TDK had done okay by himself was a bit crazy. I thought. Another selection criteria: playing an injured bloke.
Yeah. Okay, so I like this from Debbie. I don't agree with you, but it's a good topic for discussion. A winning mentality has to start immediately. Why put the cue in the rack? I don't get it. Okay, that's a great point, Debbie, and I want Trevor and the rest of the audience to deliver that. So, Debbie, my point is, before I do hand it over, is that we do have to get a winning mentality, and we don't have it. So we need to get players in and try players out who do have that winning mentality, and they do have that ability to drive this club to the next level that we desire. At the moment, we are clearly 4 goals worse than the top 4 teams, top 6 teams, if you like. So we need to we need to change up what we're doing because it's not working. So if we need to get in a Kemp who's going to be our next Cripps and let him wreak havoc, then let's do it.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. We haven't got a winning mentality now because we're losing. Some of the players that we have right now don't have that winning mentality. Just because we're putting in young blokes doesn't mean we haven't got a winning mentality or we're putting the queue in the rack. What we're doing is we're doing what we should have done for the last 12, 21, 24, 36 months, and that is play players that want to come in and have a crack, and we're picked on form, not contract. So 100%, that's not it's not putting the queue in the rack. We're playing players that should be potentially being exposed to footy anyway. What else did you say about our we're not winning anyway? I said at the start of the show, the players that we have right now, we should have made finals. We should have made finals.
Yeah.
There's a selection. It's the way that we're playing the game. It's our game plan. There's the culture. It's the mix. Our list is good enough and has good enough to play finals this year and last year. Should have scraped into finals last year. Games we've lost this year have been because we've been soft mentally and physically, and
we recruited soft players,
and because the coach has been reactive, too slow to be reactive. He's been reactive, and we've just lost the plot in many games this year. The usual Carlton flashes of brilliance, followed by longer periods of average crap.
And we're hamstrung by the contracts that we've given average players.
Yeah. Good on you, Scotty. Love your work. Stop pampering players. Think they're doing them a favour. Camp Stocker playing back, putting Levi in to cover TDK. No. Just tell these blokes, get in there, play your role, have a crack, and you'll stay in the team. But the opposite's happening. Come in, have a crack, go out of the team for the bloke that's on 800K because we don't want to be embarrassed. The board doesn't want to be embarrassed, or the selection team don't want to be embarrassed.
Well, you're embarrassed, dickheads, because you didn't make finals.
Correct. 100% correct.
You're already embarrassed.
Yeah, 100% correct. Given the state of the team from 7th to below, underlines that this season has been a disaster. It has been an absolute disaster. It has absolutely been a disaster, mate. Okay.
Hey, Andrew, I've got a wonderful thing for you, is that we're looking at a really, really good draft pick next year, the way things are going.
Yeah. If it's anything like our mid-season draft pickups, I can't wait for that selection. We'll probably pass. We'll probably pass.
Yeah. Now that's a good point. And that's my good mate Ash, who I talk about constantly. He'll never come on the show. It's not his thing. But he said, "Why the fuck did we not recruit a key position player, particularly a backman, in this mid-season draft? When we got rid of them all, previously, why did we not?"
Because we had a Finbar O'Dwyer pick is why we did. We picked up our mate. We picked up our mate from the Bulldogs, who we used to be there.
That was the one.
That's what happened. That's what happened. It was a Finbar O'Dwyer pick.
Yeah, and Murkov, he is 5 years away from playing.
55 years probably. The poor big beanpole. It's probably 55 years of play. I would have rather pick up. What was the big dinosaur from Freo? What was his name?
Sanderlands.
I'd rather pick up Sanderlands. I think he nominated for the mid-season. We should have picked up Sanderlands over the poor old bloke.
Anyway.
So we've got the filth this week. We can salvage. No, it's not even salvaging something by beating them. That was losing to them at the start of the year set off the rot, didn't it? It just set off everything. The way that they performed against us and come out and had a crack, and we wilted like dying pansies. What's going to happen if we lose this week? What I don't like. I never like to talk about losing. I don't know why I'm doing it right now. Maybe it's the Guinness talking to me, making me depressed. Usually makes me the opposite.
It doesn't really matter.
It does matter. Trust me, it does matter. How many Collingwood mates have you got? It does matter.
If you're not going to, from a purely internal club perspective, not external, if you're not going to change what you're doing, then does it really matter?
It'll matter because, regardless of who we put on the field, which I know will just be another bullshit team of picking the same old and not giving another few blokes a crack. Bring these blokes in and expose them on a big game, big club. There's probably going to be a reasonable crowd there. Even though 4:40 Sunday is it again? Is that 4:40 Sunday? Geez, we're getting the arse end of the bloody games, aren't we? That's where Collingwood and Carlton are right now.
You're a shit team when the AFL has resigned you to the death spot on a Sunday. And for Collingwood Carlton, that's absolutely fucking dreadful.
They could have given us Thursday night, and it would have been a good TV audience at least because everyone still would have gone in. Thursday night would have been beautiful. Bring in a couple of young kids, give them a good crack on the big stage at the MCG. Would have been perfect. But fucking Sunday 4:40, give me a break.
It's a forgotten time slot.
Oh, it is, and they're probably they're right. We are forgotten now. Our supporters are certainly forgotten. It'll be the same old, won't it? Nunes will play, Williams will get dropped, and then Martin will still get a game. It'll be the same old. You talk about.
We'll have a pack where we can't kick goals, and then their spuds like DeGuy will just fucking tear us a new arsehole because we haven't manned up on him, and that's all that he needs is just have a bit of attention.
And the team that's playing Carlton every week will go in thinking, let's win. All we're going to do is, have a crack and isolate a few certain players and kick a few goals, and then they'll wilt. I don't know. I can't. I don't want to lose this game. I can't lose this game. I'm sick of paying out $100 Dan Murphy's vouchers to Brett Parker, who comes on this show regularly and gives me and texts me every 5 fucking minutes. Brett, I'm going to come up there and little gnome. You're still watching this, I'm sure. But yeah, I can't lose this game.
Oh, we will.
What are you drinking tonight? You on the gin too?
No, just on the bogues. I'm just a realist. We played very ordinary football last week, and we got touched up by a better team. The way Collingwood's playing, and they played against us, they absolutely destroyed us in round 2, just playing to our weaknesses, and we didn't cover them. They do that again.
Do you remember we played Geelong at Geelong and beat them? Do you know how we beat them? We just ran and played on and carried and went through the guts and tackled. That's how we beat them. That's the way that Teague wants them to play, and they're not playing that way. The message isn't getting through.
Yeah. Oh. All right, that's enough. I'm done. Time for a cup of tea.
Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. We'll be back next Tuesday night after we beat Collingwood to celebrate a fantastic win and our mathematical chance of making the finals. We'll celebrate the fact of these good young players coming in. We'll also wonder why it's taken so long to pick them. And, Honey would have kicked 3 or 4 goals. Jack Carroll on debut has got 20 touches. Walsh has got another 10 coaches' votes to bring him up there. That's what's going to happen. I'm sure, mate. So let's think of that. Adrian Hines would have sent me a case of Bogues so I can drink it to celebrate that win on Tuesday night. Keeping in mind responsible drinking, of course, but I'll certainly give it a crack. In fact, if we beat Collingwood, I will drink a bottle of. I'll drink a slab of Bogues on the show. We'll have to probably go for an hour and a half, but I'll drink a slab of Bogues on the show. Good night, everyone. Thank you, Johnny. Oh, did you have a song? You were going to sing a song. You were going to give us a song. You record.
I couldn't put it on because they've changed the rules. It has to be a video. So I'll whack it on the stream later.
Check it out, Johnny's little song.
Ode to Cripper.
Ode to Crips. Check that out. And get down to Icon Park, 11 o'clock Sunday to watch Charlie play. Let's cross our fingers that he gets through okay and stick him straight back in. And
Carlton have just released that it's on KO, that game as well.
Ooh, that's good.
Watch it.
That's good.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.